Welcome back to Sportsline Live. It is week 13 of college football. It is rivalry week. I can't even say that. I am Kelly Stewart. I am joined by Matt Coca. We're going to talk some of the biggest matchups for this week in college football. Let's get started. Of course, I'm going to talk about this game first. Kansas plus 27 at Kansas State. Every season, Matt, this is an easy bet for me. Kansas State and KU fans both know KSU covers in Manhattan during football season. KU covers in Lawrence during basketball season. It is expected. It is demanded by our fan bases because that's how dominant each team is in their respective sport. Snyder, though, rarely runs up the score, hence some of KSU's losses to teams like West Virginia and Oklahoma State this season. But this is going to be an exception. K-State blows KU out of the water in this one. Matt, thoughts on Kansas getting 27 on the road after their big victory over Texas last week in Manhattan?
I was just going to say, we can't talk about Kansas without talking about that big win that they finally got. But it's back to reality for this team. They're going into Manhattan. K-State is playing some tremendous defense like they've done all year long. And they just had a 20-point win over Baylor. I think that they're easily going to cover this spread. I'm very comfortable taking K-State.
All right, another big spread. Syracuse plus 23.5 at Pittsburgh. We didn't get to see the letdown spot I'd hoped for last week versus Duke, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see it here. At one point, Syracuse had a chance to make a bowl game, but that ship has sailed. We're still a little unsure if Dungy is going to play on Saturday. He is listed as questionable. And I think this Orange team may have just cashed it in. Once we figure out Dungy's status, I will let you guys know which side I'm going to play. But as of right now, I've just got to stay away from this one.
I'd want to stay away, but I think that Pitt is just getting way too many points right here. I don't think that they're that good of a football team. I know they've had some surprising upsets this year with that win over Penn State, and they have the win over Clemson. But to be getting these many points against a team that can really pass the ball and really put up some points like a Syracuse team can, I don't think with the pass defense that Pitt possesses that they're going to be able to cover this big of a spread. So I think I'm comfortable with the Orange Men covering in this football game.
All right, Auburn plus 18 at Alabama. It's the Iron Bowl, guys. We've seen some really great games in the series, but Bama has covered the last season as a 15-point favorite at Auburn and 2014 as a 9.5-point home favorite. But this is the third largest line we've ever seen between these two. Bama covered those two big chalk numbers easy. The Tide have just been so good this year, not only winning but covering games. We've been paying a premium for them for weeks, but not here. The line is right about where it should be. I made the game 17.5, so it makes me cautious and almost look towards Auburn in this one.
Yeah, I like Auburn in this game, and I think this game is going to be played like it was Alabama versus LSU. It's going to be one of those low-scoring games. People don't give this Auburn team enough credit. This defense is a dominant defense. They haven't been blown out at all this entire season. They had a 6-point loss to Clemson. I think the only big loss they had might have been a close to like 13 or 15-point loss against Texas A&M, but they've been a good football team this entire season. And as well as we credit Alabama, their offense is always a bit shaky like we saw last week. It took some time for them to get going. This is a rivalry game. It's the biggest game of the season. And I think that there's just too many points being given to this Auburn football team, that 17.5, 18 some places, that I like Auburn to cover.
It's one of those big rivalry games where we're going to get the absolute best out of both teams, and that is where it makes it tough to run to the window and back Auburn here. But, man, they sure do look tempting. West Virginia -7 at Iowa State. Matt, you already know where I'm going to go with this one. If you guys have been following along all season, you're going to get one of my favorite plays this week for free. If not, you got to go to sportsline.com and get it there. Matt, what do you think about your boys in Ames, Iowa this week, laying 7 on the road?
Oh, man. After they just dropped an egg at home against Oklahoma, it's hard for me to see them going out there and playing their best after, being on the brink of finally winning the Big 12 and being that team in the Big 12, it's really tough for me to get behind this West Virginia football team on the road once again, where we know they play bad football. Skylar Howard, I need the season to be over because I'm tired of him being my quarterback. I'm staying away from this game because in my heart, I cannot pick against the Mountaineers.
All right. Well, you should pick with your wallet and look towards the other side. Mississippi State plus 7.5 at Ole Miss. Ole Miss does need this win for a bowl bid, but both teams need this win to salvage their season for their fans. And what better way to do it than against an in-state rival? They have both been atrocious against the spread, the number in the past 6 games. I'm not sure I can back either one. But if you're going to make me pick, Matt, gun to the head, I'm going to lay the points with the Rebels.
See, I'm going the opposite side on this, and it's because Mississippi State can run the football well, and their quarterback is in a better position having played this entire season than Ole Miss is with Shea Patterson, who's still making a lot of mistakes. And the one thing that makes me go the Bulldogs side is that they can effectively run the football, and Ole Miss cannot stop the run if their life depended on it. So I think the 7.5 is just a little too much. I think Mississippi State can cover this, and I think they actually might pull out the outright upset, if you even want to call it an upset. Both these teams are just bad this year.
Notre Dame plus 17.5 at USC. Man, the Trojans have just been on one. They've proved themselves for 5 straight weeks, and I don't see this week being any different. I get it. This is the biggest game for the Irish all season. They don't have much left in the tank, though. I just don't know if they really care. USC has been even covering their closing numbers every week. No problem against Cal. No problem 3 weeks ago against Oregon. And then we're talking big double-digit inflated numbers. It's Trojans or nothing for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm so sick of Brian Kelly. I think he's just a terrible human being at this point with just the way that he handles everything when it comes to that school. So if I'm Deshaun Kaiser and I'm an upperclassman and I'm a senior or a junior knowing that the NFL's right there, why am I even going out there and wanting to play for this guy? I think the Trojans have been playing great under Clay Helton. Once Sam Darnold came into the game as a quarterback, this USC team has been completely different. They're all of a sudden America's sweetheart, USC, gag. But I think they're going to cover this. I think they're going to dominate this game. Notre Dame, like you said, they have nothing left to play for.
You know, and I hate to break it to you, but word is from the Irish Athletic Department, Brian Kelly's not going anywhere. And that's absolutely insane to me. I feel like he should at least be on the hot seat, but they're going to roll with the guy for a couple more years, it looks like. Oregon, -3 at Oregon State. Speaking of the Kellys, maybe Chip Kelly is going to go back to Oregon and salvage his old team because he's not doing so hot in the NFL. This might be the lowest spread I've seen between these two since I've lived in Vegas last 10 years. Actually, I had to Google search it. It was 9 years ago, and the last time the Beavers won outright. They snapped a 5-game losing streak last week versus Arizona, and I think they keep it rolling this week against the Ducks. I'm not calling for the outright upset, but I could see this being a 21-20 type of game where the Ducks actually, kind of lay an egg, for lack of better words.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this game. There's not much to really know about this Oregon State team. They're a really quiet team. You never really hear about them because they're the bottom feeders. They're not the Arizona or the Arizona States. They're little brother to Oregon. But do I think they can go out and beat this Oregon team that's been really down this season? Mark Helfrich looks like he is on the outs. Phil Knight, big Nike donor, wants a big name in there. You whispered Chip Kelly before. It might be him. But I just don't see the Ducks losing this game. If they have anything to play for this year at all, it's this rivalry and it's this respect in their state. So I think Oregon's going to go out there. I think they're going to be able to get the job done. So I'm comfortable taking Oregon, and I think they win this game by double digits.
All right, UCLA -3 at Cal. Both teams are 4-7 and have not a whole lot to play for other than this in-state rivalry. This Cal team is still a mystery to me. 13 weeks in, and I still don't understand them. Great offense, horrible defense. Though I'm not sure the Bruins have much in the tank after last week versus USC. This game kind of looks like a coin flip to me, so it's best I just stay away.
Another tough game. These Pac-12 games, you just never really know who's going to come and who's going to show up with these in-state rivalry games. I've liked what Cal has been able to do this season with Davis Webb at quarterback, and for me, it's about trusting the quarterbacks. I trust Davis Webb more than I do UCLA without Josh Rosen, the Rosen one. So I think if there's a side to play in this, I'm going to have to go with Cal just because I trust the quarterback, and I know that Davis Webb has been playing great all year. He's going to go out, and this is going to be his only rivalry game with Cal. So I think he's going to go out there. He's going to dominate, and I like the Golden Bears.
All right, South Carolina plus 24 at Clemson. Betting against the Tigers last week proved to be profitable, even if it was just by the hook. The Gamecocks are in the same boat this week. Clemson, I think the line is really close. I think it could be a 24-point game. If you get 24.5 on the Gamecocks, it's still a winner. Clemson is just 2-8 against the spread when playing South Carolina. While South Carolina is bowl eligible, a big win over Clemson would be huge for this program. If you don't know, the Gamecocks are one of the youngest teams in college football, and they are starting the most freshmen this season. I don't expect to see an outright win, but I do expect to see them make a game out of it.
This is going to be the toughest offense that South Carolina's faced this whole year. They've been able to avoid the big-name teams when it comes to the SEC. They had that game against Texas A&M. They only gave up 24 points. That was towards the beginning of the year. They played against Tennessee, won that football game 24-21. So they haven't really put up numbers, but no one's really challenged them like this Clemson team can challenge them. It's going to be a really tough game for South Carolina with Jake Bentley, their starting quarterback, who could right now be playing in high school. I can see a lot of mistakes being made for him, and it's the end of the year. It's the last regular season game for these teams, and a team like Clemson needs to make a statement because they need to finish in that 2-3 range when it comes to the college football playoff, because if they don't, they meet Bama in the semifinal, and no team wants to do that. I think Clemson comes out with Dabo Swinney and co., and they just absolutely dominate this South Carolina team. It's going to be the toughest competition South Carolina's faced this year. The SEC is really down, and Clemson needs this. They need to go out and prove that they can be a title contender. I think this is the game they take that next step right before the conference championship, right before the playoff. I like Clemson.
All right, last but not least, Florida +7 at Florida State. The Gators have locked up a spot in the SEC championship game, and Florida State has owned the last 3 of the series. Want to know who I like in this matchup? Make sure you guys go to sportsline.com. But not before we get Matt's take on Florida +7 at FSU.
I'm so sick of Florida State and Florida this year. Every time I back Florida State and I take them for the outright upset, or I take them to cover, they always disappoint me. But I like them once again. I'm going with the Seminoles.
Why for punishment?
I don't think Florida offensively. We saw them last week against LSU. They can't do anything offensively. And this Florida State team is not LSU, meaning they have a great defense, but that offense can score points. And that's what we didn't see last week with LSU. They had so many opportunities to put the game away against Florida because they knew Florida can't score. Their quarterback is terrible. Their offense is terrible. They're so banged up. Jim McElwain, and I've coined him, he is Les Miles 2.0, where he has a dominant defense, but on offense, the guy can't do anything. He just doesn't want to evolve as an offensive mind. But Jimbo, this is his game right here. It could be the last game as the head coach of Florida State. So I think he makes a statement against a Florida team that he might be seeing a lot more if he were to go to LSU. So I like Florida State. I think they're going to cover. DeAndre Francois, if you watch this video, do not let me down, or this is the last time I'm backing you guys. Take Florida State in the points. Just put your feet up, sip a nice little pina colada, and get that win.
Matt's looking for an early Christmas present from the Florida State Seminoles. But first, we got to celebrate Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Make sure you guys check out our other videos on sportsline.com.